in a democracy where money goes to fund many, many things, some of that money goes to fund crazy work on hemoglobin. It's important to understand why we have an interest in supporting science. So that raises the whole question of the nature of science, its relationship to society. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it indifferent? And so on. Now, fundamentally, science is a response to a fundamental urge among all human beings, or at least most human beings, some people couldn't care less, but many human beings have the desire to understand why the world around them is the way it is. People have been asking this since our brains developed at a certain point, and it is, we're constantly confronted with phenomena for which we have no explanation. You can imagine our ancestors, a gazillion years ago, sitting by a cave looking up at the stars and, what in the world is that? So there's been this need to understand that. Well, science is just one of many responses to that need. And it satisfies that need, but so do many other responses. One can have an artistic, religious, mystical response. And for example, in Tibetan Buddhism, they have an elaborate cosmology to explain the workings of the universe that I think ultimately ends up with everything resting on turtles, and it's turtles down to the very bottom. And they're perfectly happy with it. Fine. There are Taoist monks in China sitting on top of mountains meditating, and they look at a swirl of leaves, and they meditate on it, and they explain it in terms of balancing between yin and yang forces, and they're perfectly happy. Science also addresses these kinds of things, but what's different about science versus these other approaches? Science is a method of understanding the world around us that also gives us a tremendous added benefit. It's the foundation of technology. So, yes, you might understand blowing leaves in terms of yin and yang, but that's not going to cure diseases, it's not going to build bridges, and so on and so forth. So science is a way of understanding the world that gives us tools for transmitting information, testing hypotheses, and so on, that ultimately can improve the human condition. The flip side, and also, as anybody who opens a newspaper or knows history, it also gives us the tools for self-destruction and a diminution of the quality of life. So science is a very powerful tool. What I'd like to do today is sort of take you on sort of a voyage on the ship hemoglobin that gives you a sense of how trying to understand certain things on a very fundamental level ultimately results in tremendous benefit to society, or what will be tremendous benefit to society. And this is something I've had to wrestle with. I was paid a lot of money working at Bell Laboratories for many, many years to study how hemoglobin works and what was in it for them. Now I get paid a lot of money at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and in part, and the money that was paid to me by Bell Labs was in part paid by society. A few cents of everybody's phone bill went to support research. Nowadays, some of our tax money goes to the NIH, which then goes to me to do this kind of work. So there's a responsibility on the part of scientists to explain very clearly, in a compelling way, why this commitment on the part of society to support this activity has benefit. So that's going to be sort of an underlying theme. I mean, a lot of times it'll be totally buried. The idea is really to get you excited about, it sounds strange, get excited about a molecule. And I was, and I still am. Hemoglobin has been very good to me. And it's part of, if we step back, well, there's a concept called fractals where, for example, if you look at a map and you look at the coast of France, for example, it's all jagged. And if you step back and look at the Earth, you go further back, there's jaggedness. And even if you look at the coast and look at smaller and smaller pieces, every element, as you look more and more carefully, is equally jagged. And ultimately, there's mystery in the smallest grain of sand. So too with even a single molecule. You know, the mysteries of the universe are all convoluted into this one molecule. So by even focusing on this one molecule, one gets insight into the true workings of nature and so on. And again, with the spin-off, as you'll see, benefit to society.